Good evening. The Toronto Raptors beat the Dallas Mavericks in Dallas, 127-116. Exciting game. Lots of little storylines to get into. From the thumbnail, you can see Grant Williams. He really got under, Dennis Schroder really got under the two weirdest guys in Dallas, Maxi Kleba and Grant Williams' skin. And we'll get into why they're weirdos in a sec. But yeah, it was really entertaining. Ben Taylor, I don't know what he was like. The only thing I could think, the only metaphor I could really think of with Ben Taylor was like he was on some like Van Gogh shit. Like he was an artist in this game, or was like trying to be an artist. He just flipped a switch sometime in the second quarter, and he's like, "This is my thing. I'm gonna like just call a bunch of stuff and then watch all of it back on the replay machine and show my white." Like I think maybe about that is he, I think he's whiter than me even, but I'm just gonna like show my like 20% of the game is just gonna be my forearms extended, my veiny fucking muscular forearms. Ben Taylor, I see you. Um, but yeah, weird ref game, but fucking lights in the Philippines. We're here in the Philippines. Guy behind me here with his bike and umbrella gave me a ride here earlier, so I'm grateful for him. But yeah, lots to get into in this game. A lot of storylines. Siakam, big game, 31 points, and he really got his like revenge on the Dallas floor moppers and the Dallas floor and Mark Cuban in general, because this is of course the stadium that he got injured in last year with his groin, pulled it. So he was on a mission tonight, and most of the game he had like, I don't know what they were doing on defense, but they had either Tim Hardaway Jr. or Grant Williams on Pascal for most of this game. I mean, they didn't have Derek Lively, their center, but they do have Rashawn Holmes, who I didn't really see that much in this game, but he was just getting these ridiculous matchups where like he's just a huge like, and I made a video about Scotty screaming for the Pascal mismatch a couple videos ago, and this was like a prime game for just the lack of size, and Pascal was able to just take advantage of it. And then I thought later in the game, Scotty, slow start, but I thought later in the game he also kind of recognized more like, oh yeah, like Grant Williams, and oh yeah, like these guys, you can just get into the paint pretty easily. And Grant Williams was pretty rattled in this game. Like he was jumping up and down a lot. He got a tech at one point. Just a weird guy. And of course, he did the whole like Scotty Chris Broussard thing recently. So I think maybe it's a little bit beefy on that kind of front. But yeah, he's a fucking weird guy, man. He's like Embiid. He reminds me of Embiid. I could see them being friends. But yeah, so coming into the game, OG hits the first two threes, and I thought the starting lineup was pretty good. I thought Jakob was brutal in this game for a lot of it. Like just, I thought that a lot of people are complaining about the refs, which I don't think they didn't have like an outcome in the game. They're just really annoying. But there was one Jakob kept, I don't know who designed this, if it was the coaching staff or whatever, but they had Jakob trying to guard Luka out at the like half line. Oh my god. And I don't know how many times Luka beat him, and then Jakob, like there was one play where Jakob sent Luka into like the fifth row and it wasn't a foul. Like I thought that could have been like Luka probably should have got like 9 free throws for that, if I'm being honest. So just an all around bad game from the refs. But yeah, I thought out of the starting lineup, it was really only Jakob who struggled, and I think he was he was a zero. He was a zero, and he only played 21 minutes. 2 for 5, 4 points. He's had a couple of good games, but he just looks really like when Luka was beating him and Jakob was trying to recover, it looked like the most coordinated versus the most uncoordinated person. Jakob is kind of like what most people think like all white hoopers are. Like it's tough to watch sometimes. He just doesn't have that, like, I think yoga could change his life. $20 yoga mat and a couple blocks. He needs the blocks. He's fucking huge. But yeah, I thought in a game where they didn't have a center, I thought like Chris Boucher completely outplayed Jakob. We'll get into him in a sec. He was great. He lost his gum. I think that's a moment. That could be a moment for sure. Great catch by Matt Devlin. I don't know how he saw that, but the TSN, props to TSN. I like to shit on TSN and Sportsnet, but props to TSN for having the camera angle ready to show Chris Boucher with the gum. He's going to be name searching himself on Twitter, looking to see if anybody's talking about the gum. People are buzzing about the gum. No podcasters are going to be allowed to talk about the gum. No Twitter users are going to be allowed to talk about the gum. It's going to be probably a whole big thing. And if I make the gum video, it's probably going to be really bad things for me. But yeah, I thought she's waving. Hello. No, she's waving at her kid. It's always embarrassing when someone's waving at when you wave at somebody when they're not waving at you. But yeah, the starting lineup, Pascal, 31 points. He was stuck on 29 points for a long time. I feel like he had 21 or so by like the third quarter, which, so many, the only thing I'll say is like so many great Pascal. The three was really off tonight for him. The three was, what did he shoot from three tonight? The three, 0 for 5 from three. And they were not, wow, my hair looks really bad on the stream. Wow. They were not even close to going in. And I thought that, wow, I should have done this. Oh, wow. Broke the hat. Hat's broken. Just found this hat in storage the other day. I was looking for old stuff. Shouts to Armstrong, BC. OG Anunoby in the start. So just going through the starting lineup, OG Anunoby, another just like really good game. Not like super hot, 9 for 17, but great defense against Luka. I thought, Luka had, what do you have? Like 30, he had 31, but it didn't feel like he was 11 for 26. So not really efficient. And it just never, the thing with Luka that you really worry about is him going on these stretches where he just, like you saw in that game at the beginning of the year where he hit like 4 threes down the stretch. That's the thing you're always kind of afraid of with Luka. And even though he got, 30 points, it just never felt like there was a Luka onslaught where you're just kind of helpless. There's definitely had a few really nice step back threes. He broke OG's ankles a little bit on one play that was pretty tough, but in general, he just never really got into like a rhythm. I didn't notice Kyrie much at all in this game. A couple shots here and there. I thought Tim Hardaway Jr. was like more effective than Kyrie, kind of in that guard shooting role. I thought he had a really good game, but we'll get into the Luka Kyrie pairing. It didn't look great tonight. And I know Dallas is 6-1. They played really shitty teams, but it seems I also have a soft spot for the Mavericks. Maybe we'll talk about that at the very end. I got a Steve Nash family connection, so got a soft spot for the Mavericks that we can get into. But then coming off the bench, like I almost did Gary for the thumbnail because I thought Gary and Chris coming off the bench was like massive for an energy boost because the starters, like they weren't like humming, Scotty was really quiet in the start of the game and didn't like kind of the first half. He was really quiet, which was kind of like similar to the Spurs game. But they didn't really need like a 12-point Scotty run. Like this game for the most part felt pretty well managed and like manageable. I think it would have gone a lot smoother and probably ended an hour earlier if the fucking Ben Taylor wasn't trying to be like an artist in this game. I just like, yeah, I mean, it didn't affect the outcome, but man, he really wanted to be like a main character in this game. But let's check what you guys are saying in the old chat here.
This game for the most.
I'll mute that. Okay. Wow, lots of chats going here. Gang baby, the Dallas announcers called OG the best defender in the league. Yeah, I mean, I don't think the U.S. broadcasts are as bad as people make them out to be. I think a lot of times, like when I get Raptor Moments videos, I always use 100% legal. The Spurs broadcast was brutal. Legal websites. The Spurs broadcast even messed up Wembanyama, by the way. So they were horrible. OG Anunoby, Adobe Anunoby, they were bad. But some U.S. broadcasts are actually pretty good, so that's cool that they were calling OG the best defender in the league. I thought, yeah, he, again, like, great Luca has been like a Raptors killer in the past, so I was really interested to see how OG fared against him because obviously he's done great recently against Giannis, against Wembanyama. Totally different archetype than Luca. Luca, one of the craftiest or the craftiest guard in the league, and he's also massive and can finish over Jakob if Jakob isn't bowling him over. Like honestly, if I was Luca, I would have. I was fine with Luca being pissed in this game because I thought he was getting bowled over by some people. But yeah, the refs in general were just fucking, I don't know, man, horrible in this game. Doncic's stat line doesn't reflect how amazing OG's defense was. Yeah, I agree. I just think like again, Luca had 26 shots to get his points and never went on any kind of run. A lot of really difficult shots, difficult threes. Usually Luca's getting into the paint and dismantling teams. Luca's probably the player I've watched the most, like especially during the pandemic. I watched so many Luca at 25% speed videos just on footwork, on fakes and passing. I think him, Shea, and Hakeem are just like incredibly interesting players to look at under a microscope. And so much of what makes Luca effective, he just wasn't getting into tonight. And it was a big part of that was OG. I definitely need to watch it a second time to get the nuances of the defense. But yeah, a lot of really difficult threes, a lot of the step back threes that he gets that make highlight reels not super efficient, and those were not dropping. And just he was not able to be at all as effective as he could be. OG Anunoby, all defense first team this year, question mark from Just Pineapple. It definitely looks like it. Refs don't respect OG. I don't know about that. Maybe there's a couple of calls that were. Great win tonight. Bounce back game for Siakam. He needs to figure out how to be effective against teams with size and shot blocking. Yeah, I mean, good point. I'll got a cool ad going in the background here. I think like, yeah, it was a great game for Siakam. It was kind of like the opposite of a lot of his games. Like, and I do agree that the lack of rim pressure and like shot blocking ability definitely was to his advantage. And credit to him or the team or him in general in combination really noticed that, and I thought really exploited it. And maybe it's kind of ugly sometimes, like him backing guys down and spinning and stuff in the post. But when it's fucking Tim Hardaway Jr., like, I'm sorry, he's like a little bit taller than Malachi. Like you take that every day of the week if you've got that. And no doubles. They doubled him a couple times and he almost turned it over. Like Pascal, like I don't know. It's when you have so little size. The Raptors were not gunning from three. Weird, hot take, Jason Kidd. I don't know, but like. What were the Raptors gunning from three? 11 for 36, 30%. Like they were not firing from three. I don't know why you're not sending two to Siakam when he's backing Tim Hardaway Jr. down. You don't have a center. Weird. Fucking weird. Jason Kidd, was Jason Kidd like an amazing defender? I don't know. I always remember him for the fucking assists. Luka didn't like Boucher stealing his clout with the gum, so he threw his headband. Yeah, there was. Okay, that's good. I like that. I could use that in the video. Yeah, if you just joined us, I opened it with the Boucher gum thing, which I loved. Great catch by Devlin. I thought Matt and Jack had a good game tonight. I thought they were good. I'm not usually I stumble my words. I just had Alvin in my head for a second. And I started. I need to snap out of it right now. I'm even thinking about it. Great game. Let's see him do it consistently. I don't know who you're talking about, but yes, sure. No Pascal slander tonight. Great to see Cameroonian spin cycle back. Malachi has been consistent. Yeah, Malachi had a really good game tonight. A couple huge threes. And what I've noticed from Malachi the last couple of games is the energy isn't dipping when he comes in. I made the Boogie Nights analogy of the New Year's party of the guy who shoots himself in the head in the bedroom. That's Malachi coming into the game. Really, he's turned it around. I think like he's playing at a much faster pace, getting into actions quicker. His defense is really like I think improving. He's getting more tenacious, and he almost reminds me sometimes of Gary on defense, like in a good way, just really scrappy, getting lots of tips, hustling. And Gary, talk about Gary. I thought it was a good comeback game from Gary. The first few, he had a couple threes that, like his first three was from the right corner, and it almost looked like Siakam's threes, where it was just like, Like it was like, oh, is this going to be a bad Gary game? Because we've had a few of those this year. But I thought he brought a lot of energy. Him and Boucher off the bench coming in really kind of flipped things, and I thought kind of put Dallas on its back foot a little bit, because Dallas's bench, Tim Hardaway Jr. was gunning, but the Dallas bench was like not super sexy. I mean, the Dallas bench, they're all minus, like Green, Josh minus 21. Even Tim Hardaway with his gunner was minus 19 tonight. The Kleber minus 7, and Dallas, they're weird. Mark Cuban's a super weird guy. Grant Williams is a super weird guy. It's just, I think Dallas is like a weird city. I mean, they still worship Bush. Like Bush threw out the fucking first pitch at the Texas Rangers game. That's all you need to know about Dallas. It's where Kennedy was shot. It's a weird city. It's a weird fucking city. Okay, I've been to the airport. My uncle lives in Dallas, and I have cousins there, so I can't hate the Mavs. And I have a soft spot for the Mavs. We'll get into it at the end. I do kind of will always love the Mavericks because of my childhood, my Steve Nash childhood. But at least we didn't have to listen to Alvin. I kind of wish Alvin was a third mic. I don't dislike Alvin. I would smoke weed with Alvin, but like I would talk basketball with Alvin. But on the broadcast, yeah, like. Even thinking about him, I start to just confuse my words. Boost. Okay, we got a bunch of people excited. That's good. Kid was a good defender. Okay. Maybe I need to rewatch some Jason Kidd tape. I was not a Jason Kidd fan, so. Malachi has been fun this year. Kyrie spin. Super intrigued to see the two-man game between Scotty and Pascal developing. I didn't see like a ton of that, but I did see Scotty kind of, I don't know, getting clues from Pascal, but kind of seeing what Pascal was doing in the post and being like, oh, I can also do that as well. And I thought he really kind of stepped up later on in the game. But I think Pascal coming out super aggressive was important, because the starters weren't like super amazing coming into the gate. Gary will get back into rhythm, and once Precious comes back, our bench will be good. The refs lost back-to-back challenges. Yeah, that was Darko winning 2 challenges there. That was, I mean, again, the refs in this, Ben Taylor in this game. I mean, there was that whole thing with Fred last year with Ben Taylor, so maybe there's a Raptors history a little bit there. But yeah, he really tried to take the show over. I like Dennis seems to get into these like almost skirmishes every game. And so there's a really funny story with him and Maxi Kleber that I guess I'll tell now. So people know probably about this, but I dug into a little bit more, and it just made me think that Maxi Kleber is like a super fucking weird guy. And it's funny that Germany won this year. So Dennis made like a comment about Maxi Kleber not playing at Germany or something in the past, and there was an injury, but Maxi Kleber was like prepared to play at the World Cup this year that Germany won gold medal for. And Dennis issued like an apology. He made a YouTube video about it, apparently, saying that like the media misconstrued what he said. I think he also said that with LeBron and the vaccination thing too, though. So maybe Dennis does have a bit of a history of saying things and then being like, oh no, that's not really what I meant, but I don't know. But anyways, there was a whole apology and YouTube video, and like, I didn't mean this, and I really want you as a teammate, and like, we want you to be part of the, no, I can't go straight into an accent. I need to warm up. I want you to be part of the German team. You know, this is going to be the Fourth Reich we're going to build here in Germany. And Maxi Kleber like declined the apology, and then his response to the apology was super like personality disordery of like, I was so ready to play for this team, but it's clear to me that I would throw off the chemistry, and I'm gonna cheer for them at home. I would have loved to have traveled with the team at least, but it's so clear to me that the leaders on this team would think that my presence was unwanted. Like, it's just high school breakup bullshit. I'm like, you're a fucking weirdo if you're letting that stop you from fucking representing your country. which, a lot of German people in history have been very proud of that nation. And I guess he's not one of them. So maybe, I don't know. But he's a weird guy. And then Grant Williams. I mean, Grant Williams does not need any introduction. I mean, playing Pokemon Go on two things in the locker room. And, it was well known in Boston that he was just like, people would just tune him out. Like, Tatum, Brown, Ime Udoka, Marcus Smart, like they were just like you just have to tune him out, and probably a big reason why he's not there anymore. And he's just an odd dude, man. Like he's like an Embiid type, where like I could picture the two of those guys like sitting in the back of the bus or the plane, deriving like weird antisocial plans to take over the world and do like awful things. I just think Grant's like just a weird guy. And he did the like face off Nicolas Cage thing and just like touched Dennis's face. They reviewed it for a hostile. It definitely wasn't hostile. It was very, I don't even know what the word for that would be, like passive aggressive act, or just traumatic act. I don't know, but it was Dennis in all of these games. I think in pretty much every game, Dennis has had at least some kind of like run in, which is good. Like I think Dennis, from what I've seen this year with Dennis, like he knows exactly kind of where that line is. And a lot of players who play like that don't, like Patrick Beverley's a good example. I mean, like Giannis tonight, I fucking hate the NBA sometimes. Giannis got ejected tonight for dunking and then like flexing on the guy. He got ejected. I just forget the in-season tournament. Let's bring back continuation. Number one, there was a couple plays tonight where it's like, I think it was Jakob on one play. It's like, how do we not have continuation in the NBA? I hate that rule so much. And if you dunk on somebody, you should be able to flex on them for like 2-3 seconds. You should be able to hang off the rim. I just think we don't need the in-season tournament. Just bring those two things back. Are you in Africa? No, I'm in the Philippines. And a translucent cap. Yes, it's translucent in real life as well. I walk down the street and people see through it. It's cost me like $300,000 to buy. It's a very big conversation piece that I wear at parties sometimes. I have shirts that disappear as well. I put the shirt on and I disappear. I vanish immediately. It's a lot of fun to live the life that I live. Luka mustache. I don't know. What do you guys think about the Luka mustache? It's pretty thick. Usually when you introduce a stash, it looked like a stash he had for a long time. It's definitely a new look. I thought his hair was a lot better. He's had some bad haircuts in the past, really bad haircuts. Like he's had like the $13 haircuts in the past. I thought he figured out his hair. I thought Sabonis figured out his hair earlier this year too. Big year for European guys figuring out their hair in their fifth year or whatever they're in. I still think the Halliburton trade was insane. I don't care what the Kings do in the playoffs. Anyways, so Luka biffed a layup. I don't know why I wrote that down, but Boucher losing his gum in the second quarter was great. Devlin butchers. Oh yeah, Boucher had a crazy block and Devlin just butchered the call. I was really disappointed in that because it was like right after the gum thing. And Luka versus Jakob, most versus least coordinated. Grant Williams freaking out. Grant Williams is freaking out on the bench a lot. Like I think he got a tech. I don't know how he didn't follow out of the game because I'm pretty sure he got a tech in the first half and then there was a free throw and then they reviewed it for a hostile act, but it wasn't. That seems to me more like a tech. So you eject Giannis for dunking and then flexing his biceps. But Grant Williams is like, I don't know, flirting with Dennis, like touching his cheek lovingly. Just fucking weird behavior, weird antisocial behavior. And then, Kleba also gets super mad at Dennis. And I don't know, Dennis throws it right off of his package. It's a smart basketball play. I mean, usually you aim. So when you're in that position, I used to do this all the time. You aim for the knee because the knee is where you're going to get the most like ricochet. If you throw it out of bounds and you hit someone's kneecap, like that thing's going out. If you hit them in their package, that's absorbing quite a bit of. So I don't know if that was on purpose. It's not the best basketball play if it was on purpose, or maybe it was a bit of a vendetta, revenge. And this was a revengey game. Pascal getting revenge on Mark Cuban in the Dallas Stadium, which the wetness of that floor really derailed his season last year. And we have so I knew this was a big game for Malachi because at 3:24 in the third quarter, he had it reminded me of Drake putting his hands on Nick's shoulders at the championship. That's what Malachi was doing to Darko on the bench before he was going in. So I was like, wow, Malachi is like really getting settled here. He's settling in, and like, got to give him his props. He was noticeably just putrid in the first few games, and that the bench is looking, I don't say like way better, but the bench is that dip in energy is not quite like it was. And I don't know if that's different rotations. I thought, again, Gary and Chris were just like huge off the bench. Another tough game from Grady. I think that's like 5 in a row now. It's ever since the haircut. Again, he's a rookie, you know, whatever, but something to watch ever since the haircut. Grady has not figured his hair out. This is what I'm talking about. See, Luka figured it out. I haven't figured it out yet. I'm 32. I have not figured it out yet. Domantas Sabonis figured it out, but Grady has not figured the hair out yet. But give him time to figure it out. Shout out to Otto Porter going full PJ Tucker tonight with 0 points, but positive plus minus. Yeah, he's been like surprisingly useful outside of 3-point shooting. And my computer's gonna die, so I gotta plug that in. But yeah, Otto Porter. Did he have 0 points tonight? I need to check the box score just to make sure it's official. This is, you never know who could be watching. Otto Porter Jr. Yeah, 0 points in 14 minutes, but a +9, 3 rebounds. Did go 0 for 3, but yeah, no, he's like it's weird because it's like he has these he's so injury prone, and you have to kind of really protect him. Nick obviously played him back-to-backs and he got injured, so he can only play like every other game, so you really have to be careful with Otto. But it's also funny because when he comes into the game, he's like making lots of hustle plays, like jumping around, getting rebounds, playing really hard defense, and not just like cherry picking threes, which on one hand, props to him for doing that, for not just relying on 3-point shooting. But I also wonder, in a parallel universe, maybe I'm asking for too much, but like the Raptors have so many good lengthy defenders. The 3-point shooting, again, they shot 11 for 26 or 36 tonight, 30%, so 11, 36. It's almost like, could he play every game? This is just me being fantasy land. Could he play every game and maybe not be so gritty, grindy, and shoot more threes? I don't know if that's a possibility. I'm just kind of talking out of my ass at this point. Grant Williams is a bum. I don't like him. He stinks and I don't like him. Grady will be fine. He's still learning. That's what I said. Grady has to go full buzz. I don't know if that would... Grady with a buzz cut. I don't even know what that would look. I can't even picture that. That's crazy. I've buzz cut my hair a couple times. It does not look good. Does not look good. Grady with a buzz cut. Yeah, I think he's got to grow it out. Grady Dick got the did my homework mom type hairstyle. He'll look bigger if he shaves it all off. Is that how it works? Dick needs to get manscaped. Okay. Yeah, I mean, he's always hustling. He's always running, but I would be really interested. Will has said a couple of times that his shot is like kind of inconsistent in practice. Like it has different. I've got Samson on a mission. I put out I talked about the OG wrist thing, which pissed a lot of people off in the chat. So I talked to Samson about this. Samson is going to find out for us if OG turning his wrist to the right is a reaction to the shot not going in, or part of the shot and part of the reason why it's not going in. My theory is it's part of the shot and why it's not going in, whereas somebody else came in on Twitter and said that no, it's what hoopers do. It was the direct quote. Hoopers, when they miss a shot, they go like that. I felt like it was part of the momentum and why he lost a little bit of juice. So very interested to see. We got Samson on the mission. I tried to get Will to ask OG about the Dragon Kitchen, which was his favorite restaurant in high school in Jefferson City, Missouri. OG even said the word Missouri during that interview, but Will did not ask him about it. I'm still gutted about that, but maybe I'll save that for if I ever meet Mr. Adobe Anobe. Lawnmower 0.4 looks good. I don't know what that means. Doesn't need to look good, just need the reset. Talking about Grady. We're still talking about Grady's hair. Yeah. But yeah, back to the game. So yeah, Malachi. Like he's got his hands on Darko's shoulders. They're talking to each other. You can tell the vibe is good. I could not picture any player doing that to Nick at any moment except for Drake after they won the championship. And you know, you can tell on the bench, like Garrett Temple's super animated. The coaches, like just the energy, I spent a year in Thailand and tried to start a chakra jewelry company at one point. Very weird time in my life, but the energy on the bench is palpably different than it was last season. And I thought in today's game, you had so many instances where like bad calls were being made or plays were happening, and the whole bench is getting up, and the whole bench is, passionately supporting the team or mad at the refs or whatever. And like, there's a cat. You just didn't see as much of that last season. There's just more of like a very serious. Last year was like very serious and they weren't winning. It's like a very bad combination. But yeah, I just thought like in this game in particular, the bench was just like very involved, hyping each other up. And I thought the Dallas bench, like Grant Williams was going nuts, but for the most part, it almost felt this game was like weird for the Raptors because the whole game the Raptors felt like they were in control of this game. Which look at the wins, like the Spurs game, they were in control of that game, for like a quarter and a half of it. The Wolves win, they weren't really in control. That was pretty tight down the stretch. I was kind of surprised that they got that W. I guess the Bucks they were, but not to go down this rabbit hole, but like every NBA podcast right now is talking about the Bucks and Adrian Griffin's defensive schemes. Maybe I call that a bit of a write-off. They're trying to find themselves, but like this was kind of this game just really felt like from that second unit on, that first shift, that I don't know if Malachi came on with them, but it was when Gary and Chris came on. I thought like, what are their plus? I'm interested to see what their plus minuses were. What Gary and Chris's plus minuses were tonight. Gary +9, Chris +4. Okay, so not like no Raptor was like over a +10 in an 11-point win. So that goes to show you there was balance. So many of these games, the starters have been like +21, +20, +18, and then the bench is like -10. There was just really evenly distributed. Like Jakob being a 0, I think was the only. Jakob and Grady were 0, and everybody else was a plus. And then on the Dallas side, like, man, Derek Jones Jr., man, what a great game from him. +11, 15 points. But it felt like he got all of those at the beginning. And then, again, I don't know what the adjustment was, but he really quieted down. Shouts to Dwight Powell, 1 for 1 in 24 minutes. When you don't have your main center guy, and that's your kind of guy. And okay, so here's a stat. Holy shit. Okay, here's the stat of the night. Here's the fucking, if I worked at TSN, here's the TSN stat of the night. I just realized this looking at the box score. Richaun Holmes, 1 for 2. Maxi Kleber, 0 for 0. Dwight Powell, 1 for 1. The centers took 3 shots tonight. Let that sink in. In 4 quarters of basketball, the Dallas Mavericks centers took 3 shots. Maybe Jakob did play better than I thought. I need to. Okay, I feel bad now. Did Jakob just play insane defense at the rim or something? How is that possible? He took 3 shots. That's fucking crazy. The only guy on the bench that took more than 4 shots was Tim Hardaway, who went 6 for 11. Like, these guys were not shooting the ball. Josh Green 1 for 3 in 18 minutes. Rashawn Holmes 1 for 2. Maxi Kleba 0 for 0. Hardy 2 for 4. Exum 2 for 3. Like, just putrid off the bench. Boucher 4 for 4. Gary 6 for 11. Grady only 1 shot tonight, 7 minutes. Again, he's a rookie. My only draft take is I was a big Julian Schroder fan, who's kind of going off right now. I watched him at Gonzaga. Thought he was the perfect Raptor player. Not to go down that rabbit hole, but what's the chat saying? I still got my Dallas Mavericks story. Technically, we should be 6-2 or 5-3. Yeah, there's a couple. Like, that Bulls game is just like the dumbest game of all time. Could have just easily just such a stupid game. And then what was the other game? Because there was another game I've forgotten already. Gary with the starters was nice. Yeah, I think Gary always plays well with the starters, or better with the starters, but I thought tonight, I don't know what the lineup was with him and Boucher on. I don't know how many bench guys were on, but that lineup I just thought was like so effective. I thought Boucher was great tonight. Like, he was a DNP 2 games in a row. Was it 2 games in a row or 1 game? And just like, there was a couple of plays where he tried to do too much. There was one, he always gets in, there's always, not always, but he gets in trouble a lot in transition. He'll try to dribble a little bit too much and take a guy 1-on-1 or 1-on-2 sometimes. I don't know if it was, I think it might have even been a 1-on-2 tonight, and just was like, that's the only thing though. And I don't think he took any threes. He was 4 for 4. He did take, okay. So the gum happened. That makes I might have to make this video about Chris Boucher losing his gum, because that was his first 3-pointer of the season. So that's exciting. The gum thing might actually have, because you gotta have a little bit of juice in the story. And I think that it being the first 3 gives a little bit of juice. Pascal will struggle in Boston. Scotty will shine based on matchups. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't really make that type of content, but I know a lot of people do. That has to be a record. The Boucher 3, yeah. By the way, if you guys have crystal balls, I was just talking about my Shocker jewelry company. People in Thailand are really into that shit. They think that like crystals, like there was one guy that I was kind of like, I lived in like a hippie commune with a bunch of people. It was a 5-star retreat. People had like $25 million. They were hippies, but they were really rich. Made some like South Korea tech money and then moved to Thailand. They're from like North Carolina originally. But there's one dude that really into crystals. He got in a motorbike accident and he refused to get antibiotics or medicine. And he kept like dipping his leg into the ice bath, and it was going purple, and they were gonna have to like amputate it. He refused antibiotics, and then finally they like forced him to take them, and he did. But his whole thing was like he was gonna line up like the crystals and the moon and all that stuff. So, what I'm saying is I'm a fun guy. You would love Thailand. You would fucking love it over there, man. Like it's a lot of fun, especially if you're into that kind of shit. But yeah, I've always had a soft spot for the Dallas Mavericks. So growing up, I had a family connection with Steve Nash, and it was 2001. He was on the Mavericks, and it wasn't every time, but when the Mavericks played the Vancouver Grizzlies, I got to go in the locker room, got to hang out with Steve Nash, Mark Cuban, Michael Finley, Dirk Nowitzki, Sean Bradley. Dirk wasn't really a thing back then, so it wasn't like, oh my God. I was actually like Michael Finley. Michael Finley was putting up like 23 points a game back then, which with NBA inflation is like 32 points nowadays. And Nash wasn't even like, was Jason Kidd on that team? Nash wasn't really like the hot MVP point guard at that point yet. Like that didn't really happen until more the Suns days. And, Cuban, I think when I met Cuban, that was like his first year or one of his first years. And he always said like, trading Nash. Or I don't know if he traded Nash or Nash left in free agency, but that was always like one of his big regrets. And Steve Nash's parents actually drove me to that game, and I remember they're from South Africa. They're like really nice. And I remember "Stand" by Eminem on the radio. That's the only thing I really remember from that car ride is "Stand" by Eminem came on the radio. And I think there's some words that when I was like 9 or 10, I had Eminem CDs that I listened to, so I knew all the words. But being around adults when that was on was always awkward for me. But yeah, they got to sit courtside, got to hang out. I brought a Grizzlies basketball to be signed by the Dallas Mavericks. I wasn't thinking with my head straight, but I was young. I was like 9, I guess. Um, and then I loved Dallas like throughout the 2000s, and Dirk obviously in 2011 taking down the Heat. One of the great stains on LeBronto's career was Dirk, or as Perk calls him, Dirk. What is Dirk? Perk and Dirk. That's a hard thing to say, but Perk always butchers his name. But yeah, the Suns and the Mavs. Like I've always had a bit of a soft spot. But I gotta say, I don't love this iteration of the Mavericks. I love watching Luka, one of my favorite players to watch on 25% speed. Him, Shane, Hakeem, and I guess Jokic, you can throw him in there too. But just like players to watch on. There's a specific video in particular called I think it's like Luka's best fakes, shakes, and pumps or something. Just watch that on 25% speed. I'm telling you, just put on like a podcast or music or something. Just watch that on 25% speed, and it's like. It's crazy. And, talking, on that note, talked about it a little bit earlier, but to revisit it, Luka, what you'll see in that video is not the Luka that you saw tonight necessarily. Again, he got his points, but it took him a ton of buckets to get that. And again, it's OG Anunoby. Taking that lead assignment. I think he was on Luka the entire game, like pretty much. Like, I don't think Scotty played on Luka that much. Nikias Duncan on Dunker Spot made a really good point that Scotty isn't really guarding guards anymore. Or if he is, it's only in spurts. Whereas last season he was guarding a lot of guards, which is just way more running, way more exhausting. Whereas now he's guarding more guys his size. And that seems to be working out better for him. He doesn't have to run around and pick up guys and run around the perimeter. And Dennis has been really good at that, picking up guys pretty much not full court, but Malachi is almost picking up guys full court, which is very popular here in the Philippines. If you watch I watch a lot of like professional basketball, not necessarily full games, but I like to watch like, Cambodia, Colombia, Costa Rica, Philippines. I like to see how the different leagues play and stuff. The Philippines, a lot of the guys are like, 5'7" to 6'3" if they're guards, and they just pick up full court and just hack the fucking shit out of you. And Malachi kind of has a little bit of that, so maybe that's why we're filming in the Philippines today. What's going on in the chat? Are you married in Thailand? I had a girlfriend in Thailand from London. She's a shaman. Where did you get the Armstrong hat? It was my grandpa's hat. He lived in Vernon and had a cattle ranch in Armstrong. And I actually just found this hat today in storage, so pretty cool. He had some cool ass hats. Kind of a alcoholic, not mental health guy, but a lot of cool hats. That record was huge when it dropped. What record? I forgot already. Luka got that Paul Pierce so slow, but still gets you somehow. Hermes Curry, bro. OG went from guarding Wemby to Luka tonight, best defender in the league. Yeah, I mean, his, again, like, if you look at the last 3 games, which I did the video on Giannis, which got #1 ranking on Google. I mean, Google changes a lot. The algorithm changes, results and stuff, but like I did it a few times and put a Twitter video in the incognito video. The video I did on OG and Giannis like came up in the like meta whatever the fuck on Google when you just search OG Anunoby in an incognito window. Anyways, so I'm kind of working on an OG Wemby video, but it actually became a Wemby Malachi video, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, the last 3 games, OG is guarding Giannis, Wemby, and Luka, which 3 just completely different players. Completely different. Like, I guess, yeah, I'll explain it, I guess, a little bit. Giannis, not much of an outside shot, not even much of a mid-range shot, but the second he's able to get downhill and get a little bit of room, it's like so difficult to stop without fouling. And the refs were giving him calls in that game, and OG just like powered through it and got the best of him. And then against Wemby, who does have a bit of an outside shot, who does have a mid-range game, completely different style of play than Giannis. OG not phased by that. OG really using his lower body strength. I think in that game in particular, there's a few plays where I don't think San Antonio realizes like how tall Wembanyama is. Like there's a few plays where like you just have to lob it up to him and he'll like volleyball tip it. And I think they could have exploited that more, but anyways, like OG's defense on him was wild. And then yeah, tonight, getting the nuances of like individual defensive matchups, I kind of have to watch the game a second time. But yeah, the second Luka's getting over, it was the same with Giannis. Like OG is just tracking them the entire time. Like it's like a hunter. Like there's no, like OG does not lapse. OG does not have mental lapses on defense. Like sometimes when he drives, you could argue there's some mental lapses, but on defense, like when he has a guy, when he has a assignment, Luka tonight, it's like, I think even before the shot goes up on the, like he's figuring out where Luka is. Like, Pascal takes a shot and he's like, where's Luka? Like he's looking for Luka just as much as he's looking for the offensive rebound, and then picking him up as quickly as he can. And there was a few times where Luka was able to get free. There was one, I think like a couple minutes into the first quarter, he got a clean three. And that's like the only really clean, like above the break, step back, cool, sexy footwork three that I think I remember from this game. Kyrie, again, I think I remember one Kyrie three. Like I just don't remember Kyrie really in this game. Like, chat, tell me, did you recognize Kyrie in this game? 8 for 19, still got 22 points, quiet 22 though. Just didn't, again, him and Luka did not feel impactful. Like they combined for 31 and 22. I'm bad at math. What is that? 54 or something? 53, 54. Terrible at math. I'm stupid, folks. I don't know if you noticed that. So if you're like trying to own me in the chat, like yes, I'm stupid. There are very smart people who make Raptors content that you can enjoy, but I'm very stupid. Dennis Schroder, better than advertised. Yeah, I not to be like, I don't care about being right. I come from the world of like stock market media, so picking stocks is a way to get your home address posted. So I don't really get into that kind of shit. But I've always liked Dennis as a like, I thought he was really underrated. The whole narrative of him turning down the contract didn't do well for him. But I've always liked his style of play. Not to make it about myself, but he plays kind of how I played when I was younger, like just having to be quick, always getting into little skirmishes and little fights, and just being pesky, but not like so over the top like Patrick Beverley where it's just stupid and annoying. Just that right level of peskiness. Having to play really solid defense to kind of stay in, not stay in the league, but to be more valuable in the league, especially as an undersized guy. Like you have to try a bit harder on defense to get through screens, to get to guard bigger players. And he just does such a good job of that. He plays with such electrifying pace. And honestly, after watching a Dennis Schroder Malachi game like this, I could turn on a hockey game and not get motion sickness, like what happened last year with the Raptors last year. My homie had a wife in Thailand and she tried to stab him. Yeah, actually, so in Thailand, I don't know the statistics on this, but like crimes of passion are like disproportionately high. And there's lots of theories on that. But yeah, it is, crimes of passion are definitely a thing. So yeah, you gotta be on your toes, but you gotta be on your toes everywhere, you know? Siakam, the food makes up for it, to be honest. Siakam over Luka without the complaining and special treatment. Okay. Ben Taylor was geeked up tonight. Yeah, I don't like. He does kind of looked um like he might be thizzing out or something. Like he might be popping something because he's wired. He's got the. I guess like if I was an NBA referee, I would have really jacked veiny forearms, and he just did such an incredible job of every time he's up there. He is giving you the full fucking view of those things. Like you're getting the full buffet, the full view of the forearms, and they are, blinding at times. So yeah, I don't know, like I didn't notice the refs that much in the first half. I don't know if anybody else did, and then it just seemed like sometime in the third quarter, he's just there was one play where there was like a whistle, and then Luka, inbounded the ball and had his foot over the line, which happens in like 97. It's like when they call like a free throw violation or a 10-second violation. Remember how that was a thing? This is why like NBA referees just drive me crazy. Remember the whole 10 seconds thing with Giannis, and they were even counting it down, and they were calling that against Giannis, and now that's disappeared all of a sudden. When's the last time you had a 10-second free throw call? It's just really inconsistent. And in games like tonight, there was another. Oh, yeah, again, I wrote this down. I was going to talk. I forgot about this. Another OG going. Yeah, in the third quarter, OG going for a ball. I can't remember who it was against, but OG was diving for a ball, and they called a foul, and it reminded me of the Siakam foul. Just the other game in the Spurs game at the end of the fourth quarter there, where it's like, that to me seems different than it was before as well, where like, I don't know, I just remember in basketball, in practice, coach like rolls the ball down the floor, two people run, and if you get your shoulder or your knee or your hip or whatever, if you're going for the ball, and obviously you can't like punch people, elbow people, knock them over, but if you're like in a basketball way going for the ball and there's contact, that this year seems to be a foul, which is fucking stupid in my opinion. And I thought that was a horrible call. Is that the one that Darko challenged? Because yeah, Darko won 2 back-to-back challenges, which in a game like tonight, if they had, that's the one thing I worried about with the challenges, extending the challenges. I'm like, do coaches just get endless challenges? Because in tonight, I mean, there could have just been endless challenges. And I think Ben Taylor may have welcomed that because it would have given him a little more screen time. Let's get Ben Taylor on the post-game show here along with my buddies here. Got a big delivery coming into the shop here that the nice people in Davao have let me use for the post-game show. What's the chat saying? Great stream, brother. Glad to be here. Thank you, Nameless. That's a good name. Fred was a better high volume 3-point shooter, but so far Dennis is an upgrade in every other aspect, especially point of attack, defense, and being able to beat his man off the dribble. Yeah, I mean, I've said this before, said it a bunch of times. I like point guards that play with pace, and to me, there's nothing less sexy than sloggy basketball, with the exception of someone like Luka, who does not necessarily play fast, but just has insane footwork and change of pace, maneuverability. That I love watching. Shea's kind of the same way. I love watching that. But when a player is slow and they don't have that, I don't enjoy watching it. I did not make very many videos about it. It's just kind of boring to me. It's just like fast forward, like fuck it. So yeah, Dennis being there, being here, being fast, getting into the actions quickly, setting up guys quickly. It's nice. It's how I enjoy the sport, the flopping call on Gary was egregious. Yeah, like that. I don't know. He exaggerated a little bit, but he didn't even like hit the ground. Like he didn't even. It was like I don't know. That if that's a flop, then that's happening like all the time. And I like the idea of the flop rule, but I don't know if it's been like used all that effectively. I haven't noticed any highlights where it's been like an obvious flop and the refs have called it and it's like, hell yeah. Okay. Uh, they call more taunting text than flopping text. If a coach gets back-to-back challenges correct, they should be able to backhand the ref. Okay. I don't know, man. I wouldn't want to fight Ben Taylor with those fucking meaty forearms. he looks like uh, he looks like he would be a tough customer. But yeah, just kind of wrapping up here. I mean, the Toronto Raptors. What would they say on What would the TSN thing be like? 2 wins in Texas or something. The Raptors are Cowboys in the Lone Star State. Everything's bigger in Texas or something like that. They play Houston next or something. This is like a Texas tour. I should probably know the schedule. I put out a video on Twitter of me trying to recreate the Scotty Barnes footwork on the step back three. I was pointed out that I did one of my footwork was incorrect. So one of my footwork, wow. I always take like THC oil half. Well, I take it before the game, and then like fourth quarter halfway. So it's just. It usually hits around, what are we at? Right around like 10 minutes ago. It starts to really bake into my brain, no pun intended, and I just start to get kind of a bit woozy. And now I'm looking at the chat, and they need to allow fights in the NBA. Okay. Why though? Like who would like tonight? Who would actually fight? Dennis and Grant. I don't know. Is that productive? I've never been in a fight. I took Kung Fu a little bit and Muay Thai, and the first like month of Kung Fu, you learn why not to get into a fight. It's like that's like the whole philosophy is like you learn to fight so that you don't have to fight. I don't know, but yeah, fighting definitely like even just knowing the basics of like how to kick and how to throw a punch and how to like defend yourself is super valuable. This is a random thought, but someone brought up fighting, so I'll just say people who are going to attack you randomly, like not all attacks, this is my self-defense lesson. Not all attacks are random, but most of them are. Especially if you're in like an unfamiliar place, you look out of place. People are looking for people who look out of place, who look kind of unconfident or don't really know what they are, or where they are. The cliches like looking at their phone, looking at a map. But even beyond that, people are reading body language, how you're walking, how you're standing, how you carry yourself, all that shit. So, people who like quote unquote know how to fight and know that kind of whatever, like they know the consequences of it, so that's what like the instructors would say. It's like people who want to fight you are usually people who don't get it, or like who don't really know the consequences of it and are just kind of wilding out. And then people who are going to rob you, they're looking for those little like subtle body language things. So I think it's a good thing to learn, and then hopefully you don't have to do it. I was on an overpass in Cali, Colombia, one of the most dangerous cities in South America. Don't ask me why I went there, but I just got this vibe that these two guys were gonna fucking perfect place to do it. This like overpass, way above the highway, a covered overpass, completely isolated, and you come around the corner up the thing, and they're like right there. And yeah, that's a. I don't need to tell you guys my South America stories. Okay. Fred versus Ben Taylor would sell tickets. Isaiah Stewart would have went crazy against LeBron. I'm trying to see Harden throw hands. You're really into the fighting thing, man. You should just go fight somebody like tonight. Like you should just go down to the gas station and just get in a fight. Yeah, that could be fun. Get that fulfill the dream, BGGB, 6'6", 220 pounds, swinging. It's not a great idea. Someone has a black belt. Is that what someone's saying? They have a black belt. Um, let me just make sure this is. I think we're winding down now. I think we're just bantering. I think that's pretty much all the basketball talk. 6'6", 220-pound giants swing at each other is a great idea. I've got a black belt in Kung Fu. Exactly. Teach you how to avoid fights first. Exactly. Fuck. He had some banger quotes. Like the fuck. What are they called? The Kung Fu instructors. Not the sensei, but is it sensei? Is it some? But yeah, he had bars, man. Like he's just like, yeah, that was cool. I should get back into that. I didn't learn a ton of like Muay Thai is where I learned more how to like punch and kick. One of the most fun things though is just putting your headphones on, putting on like a drum and bass track, and then just like kicking. I played soccer growing up, so I had to like unlearn kicking like in soccer. But anyways, that's a whole other story. The best fight is the one you avoid. There you go. Except when, yeah. So like, oh, another like not bar, but like a cool thing I learned is if this could save your life. Listen to this, people. This could save your life one day. If someone's coming at you with a weapon, like a knife or a bottle, like a sharp object, and you don't have anywhere to go, like you can't, maybe there's a wall behind you or it's coming right at you, you want to kick it and lean away because you don't have any vital like arteries in your legs. So if you get stabbed through your shoe, on your ankle or whatever, much better than, so some people, they might try to grab it or like punch it. You want to like get your torso and your neck, especially, as far away from that object as possible. And you want to get that. Let's see if I can get this up. Fuck. I need to stretch. You got to get that foot up there. All right. This is now a self-defense lesson. Fred, Johnny Caging, Wemby. High Raptor moments. Hello, Steven. Yeah, so the Raptors, they win by 11 points. I think looking at the box score, the thing that really stands out to me is the balance, the plus minus balance between the bench and the starters. No really wild variance. If you looked at the starters and the bench, you wouldn't know the difference. Like if you just looked at the plus minus, like you wouldn't know who the starters are and who the bench is or who the bench are. And I don't know, man, so many times this season, even in wins, it was just this like crazy disproportionate amount of minuses and pluses that were like black and white, whereas this is a lot more balanced. Gonna give the Tony Wonder Award to either Dennis or Pascal. I like how Dennis pissed off the two like weirdest guys on the team. Get your organs out of the way. Exactly. Get your organs out of the way. And if there's two of them, find a wall that you can get if there's more than one, find a wall that you can put your back to. Because then you can only get attacked by, you can't get attacked from behind. That's another good one. I mean, the best thing to do is to run. If that's an option. That's always like, if you can run. But when I'm on that, like when I was on an overpass, for example, like I come around the corner and there's these two guys and just that look, and I'm in a very dangerous place and I just feel very dangerous. I was by myself and I was staying with somebody there and they like wouldn't walk 4 blocks to go to the store. They would Uber. Like they would Uber everywhere. It was like super sketchy. And I'm walking like by myself. I think I had my headphones in. Fucking idiot. Come on this overpass, turn the corner, and these two guys, and they just give me that look of like, you could just feel, like sometimes you can just like feel it. And I'm like, man, it just hit me like, what a perfect place to like station up, because there's a highway underneath, like no car is seeing it, you're way above, and it's like a caged overpass. And I walked past them, and right when I walked past them, they start following me, and I'm like, okay, like, so in that situation, running's probably bad, and so I just stopped. You break the pattern. They're expecting something. All you have to do is break the pattern. You do this in sports all the time. So you break expectation. I just stopped and I looked over the overpass, looked at the traffic, and they weren't expecting that because it's like I almost hit them stopping. Like they were right behind me. I just stopped, and I could still see them. I'm not going to turn my back to them. So that accomplishes two things. I can now see them, and I've broken the pattern that they're used to of maybe somebody running or somebody keep walking over further into the highway, over the highway, further. So it's just something you could feel, you know? And I just let them keep walking. And I think they even like looked back at one point, and then after I was done, you know, my view, and they were kind of down a bit, then I started walking and kind of enjoying myself. And then I went over to the safer area of San Antonio, which is the really nice part of Cali. I think I was on the border-ish of a very sketchy area, just wandering around like a fucking idiot. First 30 minutes of Kung Fu lessons, we run laps straight up. Yeah, that's good, man. Why did I take Kung Fu originally? I think honestly, this is so embarrassing. I think it was because of like Wu-Tang and stuff. Just like, I just want to check it out. And in Thailand, I had access to free Muay Thai classes. So I was just like, hell yeah, just fucking do that, you know, 5 times a week or whatever. Nothing too crazy, nothing too serious, but yeah, I think that's good. Just start screaming and acting feral. No, that's stupid. Glad you were okay. Screaming does nothing when you're 60 feet above a highway with no one else around and cars driving 130 miles an hour down the highway. It's not gonna fucking do anything. A minute and 5. I think that's good. So Tony Wonder Award. I want to give it to Pascal, but there were so many mismatches. It wasn't that wondrous. I'm gonna give it to Dennis for just like finding the two weirdos and getting under their skin. I love that. And then the Anvil Award, maybe I don't get the like Thad playing like 0 minutes this year outside of center. So I'm gonna give him a taste, especially one of these blowout games. Just give him a taste. Let him touch the ball. You know, it's like a charity thing. Just I want to see. I don't know what I was gonna say, but I don't see myself like me and Thad hanging out. I think he's really into like positivity and like mindfulness, so I can't really see that working. But give him a taste, you know. Give him a taste can go a long way. And yeah, I think that's gonna do it. The Raptors win by 11 in Dallas. They get revenge on the evil Mark Cuban. Is there a Cuban Missile Crisis joke in there somewhere? There probably is, but I'm too stoned